Good morning, everybody. I'll be talking about the importance of immunohistochemistry in the diagnosis of orbital tumors. What is immunohistochemistry? Is the process of localizing proteins in the cells of a tissue using the principle of antigens binding to the respective antibodies. And then you visualize using colored producing tags, which along with the antibody or a chromogen, what we use is DAB. It's useful in the phenotypic characterization of tumors. Now, how do you approach a case? I shall show you by this flow chart. Round cell tumors, generally, embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma will be positive for desmin. Non-Hodgkin's lymphoma should be positive for leukocyte common antigen, and then a B cell or a T cell will tell you what type of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma it is. Leukemias are positive for myeloperoxidase, retinoblastoma, synaptophysin, and neuron-specific enolase. Ewing's and PNET both are positive for CD99, and then you differentiate on the basis of whether PAS is positive in the tumor or not. Spindle cell tumors, melanoma is HMB45 is specific for melanoma, but S100 and melanA are also positive in melanoma. Schwannomas and neurofibroma show positivity for S100, and mesenchymal tumors or sarcomas are positive for vimentin. Now, when it's an undifferentiated tumor, there is no differentiation at all, then cytokeratins will give you the diagnosis of whether it's an epithelial tumor, and vimentin will diagnose the mesenchymal tumor. I'll show you some examples using the immunohistochemistry, how we have come to a diagnosis. Now, this was a young patient with orbital mass, and you have the CT picture out here. FNAC was done, which showed a round cell tumor, and the patient was operated upon. On H&E stain, we found a malignant round cell tumor, a diffuse non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, which was confirmed by leukocyte common antigen, which showed diffuse positivity, along with CD20, a B cell, which was positive. So this was a B cell diffuse non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. Another case of a 13-year-old female with a huge mass involving the right orbit, cheek, and maxillary sinus. And you can see the CT picture over here. Now, H&E showed a malignant round cell tumor. There was no differentiation at all in the form of rosettes or other things. And this is the high-power picture showing numerous mitotic figures. Now, leukocyte common antigen, LCA, desmin, MPO were done, which were all negative. PAS was also negative in this particular case, while CD99 was positive. It showed this membranous positivity. So thus this was diagnosed as PNET. Now Ewing sarcoma also shares the same morphological features. There also you have the LCA, desmin, MPO, they are all negative. CD99 is again positive in Ewing's, but PAS is positive. You have strong PAS positivity in Ewing sarcoma as opposed to PNET, which is PAS negative. This is a young boy who presented with orbital mass. Now, the first, once you have a child with orbital mass, the first thing which should be asked for is a peripheral smear, which is a very simple tool. And if you find blasts in the peripheral smear, then a biopsy is avoided. But this particular case, the peripheral smear was negative. So a biopsy was done, which showed a malignant round cell tumor, and myeloperoxidase was positive, which gave the diagnosis of granulocytic sarcoma. Embryonal rhabdomyosarcomas, they are round to spindle-shaped cells. Sometimes you see these large rhabdomyoblasts, and even striations may be seen at times. So when in doubt, desmin will give you the positive, will be positive in the tumor cells, giving this embryonal rhabdomyosarcoma. Now coming on to myxomatous tumors, angiomyxomas are less cellular as compared to aggressive angiomyxomas. They have thin-walled blood vessels, a myxoid stroma, spindle to stellate-shaped cells, whereas aggressive angiomyxomas, they behave more aggressively. They have these thick blood vessels, hyalinized blood vessels, and are more cellular. These are very rare tumors in the orbit. CD34 and vimentin are positive. Alcian blue stains the hyaluronic acid present in the stroma. These are rare orbital tumors, locally aggressive tumors. Another case of a 40-year-old lady who presented with proptosis, and you can see this huge mass in the CT picture. This was a specimen that we received in the laboratory. The cut section shows a huge mass with a gelatinous appearance, large areas of hemorrhage, and HNE stain showed these spindle to stellate shaped cells in a myxoid background along with these large cells. The tumor was very vascular, and on high power you can see these large cells are multivacuolated tumor cells with a hypochromatic irregular nuclei. Here again there's another cell. These are lipoblasts, which are characteristic of liposarcoma. So once you have these cells in your HNE, it's characteristic of liposarcoma, and since it was in a myxoid background, this was a myxoid liposarcoma. They are positive for S100. Sometimes you do not have the characteristic lipoblasts in your HNE. They are de-differentiated, like this one, very cellular. So you resort to immunohistochemistry S100, which is positive. Now, I'll show you a few lacrimal gland tumors. This is the commonest malignant lacrimal gland tumor, adenoid cystic carcinoma. You have this CT picture. What we see histologically, they are cribriform tubular or solid type of adenoid cystic carcinomas. So when you have this typical cribriform type of adenoid cystic, you don't have any problem in diagnosis. Perineural invasion is generally seen. But in case of solid adenoid cystic carcinomas, you generally face problems in diagnosis. So there, C-kit stain is positive, or CD117 stain should be used for diagnosis. Epithelial myoepithelial carcinomas is a very rare tumor in the orbit. These are biphasic tumors. You can see they have the glandular, this is the low power picture showing glandular elements as well as these large myoepithelial cells. You resort to immunohistochemistry. The glandular elements stain for cytokeratin, and the S100 stains the large myoepithelial cells. They behave in a locally aggressive fashion, a rare orbital tumor. These are optic nerve gliomas, which are also known as pilocytic astrocytoma, low-grade tumors, and spindle-shaped cells. Now they are positive for glial fibrillary acidic protein. These meningiomas, this is the low power picture. These are meningothelial cells. Now these histologically, they are again of different types: meningotheliomatous, psamomatous, or the fibroblastic types. So on high power, you can see that this is a meningotheliomatous picture. The tumor is present in whorls. These are meningothelial cells arranged in the presence of whorls, and these are the blood vessels. And these are positive for epithelial membrane antigen and vimentin. Schwannomas, these have the typical Antony A and Antony B areas, the cellular ones. This is the hyper picture of one of the cellular areas of Verrucay body, which can be seen the palisading of tumor cells. And S100 is positive in these tumors. Benign fibrous histiocytomas, they have a characteristic storiform pattern as can be seen on low power, and they are positive for vimentin. CD34 is negative. But on the other hand, solitary fibrous tumors, these they do not have any particular pattern. They are in fact known as patternless pattern tumors. They are spindle-shaped tumors composed of spindle-shaped cells, and there's a large amount of ropey collagenization or hyalinization which is found in these tumors. They are positive for CD34, vimentin, BCL2, and sometimes for MYC2 also. Hemangiopericytomas and solitary fibrous tumors, they share the same spectrum morphologically as well as immunohistochemically. They are supposed to be very vascular. They have staghorn type of vasculature. Again, positive for vimentin and CD34. And this is the last case, 54-year-old lady who presented with orbital mass. And this is the etchy picture, which it shows tumor arranged in the form of glands. As you can see over here, some of them have a prominent nucleoli. This was positive for cytokeratin, which took up the positiveness in the glandular glandular structures, and we found out that she was operated earlier in 2006 for a colorectal adenocarcinoma. So this was metastatic to the orbit. So immunohistochemistry should be used in conjunction with morphological diagnosis along with the clinical history and the other radiological investigations. So it's not immunohistochemistry alone which is useful in diagnosing orbital tumors. Thank you.